first thing we're going to do is take our ball of dough. You can either come in from the bowl that's been sitting in overnight, or I have a bag here, part of the dough that this dough has risen overnight. So it's probably still cold. And what I'm going to do is just sort of put it on the surface, and then I'm going to sort of grab it and turn it into a ball just by turning the edges under. So I'm using my left hand to just turn the edge under, kind of like a mushroom cap. And then once I've got it sort of round, put it down, and then I'm just going to use my hands to pull from the back. I'm not going to roll it, I'm just going to pull it. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull the tension on this dough, and it's going to form sort of a ball. And I just rotate it maybe about 1/8 of the way each time. Do this about 8 times until I've got a nice ball, and you'll see underneath pretty much any of that folding has disappeared. And once I have that, this is going to sit for about half an hour or so. Basically lets the dough relax, lets the dough come up to room temperature. And so I'm just going to cover this and let this relax for about half an hour. I can also put it on my couche and let it relax there, or I can just keep it here and keep it covered, because I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to roll it again in a bit, and then we're going to put it. So while my dough was rising, what I did was I put about a teaspoon of olive oil, or high heat oil is even better, in the pan, and then I've rubbed it around, especially in the corners, the corners, and then up along the corners and along the sides. And that's going to make sure that my loaf doesn't stick when it's cooking. So what I've done is I've let this rise now for about 25 minutes, and it's not actually so much rising as much as it's just relaxing. So I'm going to flour my surface a little bit, and I'm going to turn this up and pat it a little bit, and now I'm just going to roll it up like a jelly roll. Fold in the edges a little bit as I go along. It's almost like making a burrito out of this ball of dough. And I sort of tuck it in as I roll it, and now I've got what looks like a sausage bun. Tuck the ends under just a little bit so it doesn't get too long. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the country loaf, which is to pull it to myself so that it gets a little dough tension in it. And you'll notice that the seam has pretty much disappeared on the bottom. So I'll tuck in the ends a little bit, and I also want to get it so that it's pretty much even end to end, that one side isn't thicker than the other. Now I've got my pan here, and I'm going to simply lift this up, place it square in the middle of the pan, make sure that it's pretty evenly allocated. And so there it is in the pan. And then one of the best tools in baking you can have is a shower cap from the hotels. And put that over here. We're just going to sort of cover it. And we're going to let this rise for about 1.5 hours, like we did with the other one. And again, we don't want to overproof it. We want to make sure that we've got it just the right amount of rise before we put it in the oven and let the rest of the oven rise take care of it. So here's our finished product, the whole wheat loaf in a pan. And so you loosen it around the sides a little bit. If you've used high heat oil, it usually doesn't stick at all. And then we'll just turn it out on the rack. You have a nice bottom. And then there it is.